Undisputed WWE Champion Cody Rhodes says he will always have love for AEW, but how his time ended there was terrible. He also says he hated the narrative in the Young Bucks book regarding how AEW came together and that he always planned on leaving All Elite Wrestling. Tony Khan, the AEW president, says Ricochet is one of the most exciting stars in all of wrestling, amid rumours that Ricochet could be about to become All Elite in the near future. Tony Khan also reveals the length the Mariah May timeless Tony Storm feud has been in the works, and also discusses rumours of a possible stadium show in the state of Texas next year. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. Let's start off with the American Nightmare, the undisputed WWE Champion and former AEW Executive Vice President, Cody Rhodes. Now, Rhodes had said the end of his run in AEW was, quote, terrible. Rhodes was asked about his time in the company during a recent interview with Chris Van Vliet. While he was very hesitant to say anything negative about All Elite Wrestling, he admitted that his time there did not end well and there were petty squabbles that went on behind the scenes. Here's what Rhodes had to say regarding his exit from All Elite Wrestling.
How AEW ended was terrible, really. And people are going to write books later on and these stories are going to get out there. And then it's going to be a whole new ball game. But the actual experience and everything we did, I mean, and you're included in that. I'm in this Miami hotel, you know, and we did our interview.
Yeah, I was on the first episode.
Yeah.
Dynamite.
So the actual...
I remember tracking you down backstage. You're wearing a beige trench coat.
Yep.
And I'm like, am I going to have an IFB in my ear? And you're like, I don't know. Come ask me later.
Great question.
That's a great question. And the answer was no.
Yeah, no.
The answer was, during the commercial break, we're going to shove you out there and someone's going to point at you.
Yeah. Good old fashioned, just these type cues.
And I was like,
yeah.
Oh, I'm on. Okay.
No, I could never. You ever seen the end of The Dark Knight?
Of course.
I think that's, again, it's super convoluted and I'm not comparing myself to Batman, but there's a piece of it that's really important. To certain fans from the AEW fandom, they need the story to be, they didn't want me, they pushed me out. They need, he was bad, they need that story.
So you're the villain.
They need me to be the villain.
That Gotham needs.
Right, yeah. Right. I was always fine with accepting that because of the respect I have for it in the first place. How difficult it was to do the original All In, how unbelievable the feeling was to do Double or Nothing, how fortunate we were that Tony wanted to invest in this vision and he had a vision as well. How special Mad Nick in the BTE era and Kenny and my rivalry in New Japan, especially from a dollars and cents point, that made New Japan more money than anything they ever did. And it made Ring of Honor going through the roof at the time. So regardless of any petty squabbles I will always have a love for it. I got to wrestle Brody Lee's final match. I got to lead people, young people, behind the scenes. I'll always have a love for it. So the idea that I'm sure there's some negative stuff. I go, oh, this sucked or what, but I just remember it lovingly.
Now, despite all of that, Rhodes says he always knew his time in AEW was going to be a temporary one and that there was something else out there for him, comparing himself to Hulk Hogan whilst he was in the AWA prior to Hulkamania running wild in WWE.
And I also knew I was leaving. I knew it was a season. I knew this isn't going to last and there's something greater for me out there. And I know that might sound negative to people, but it's not. Like that's the biggest prize in the wrestling game. If you put on boots, that's the one. And I just wanted to go get it, and I had nothing but respect for my time there. I got to sharpen my skills, like Hulkamania and the AWA, right before it came to WWE. It's the same. Like the energy was there. The renaissance was happening. It wasn't just company based. I think they're giving us the Iggy. His kids are giving us the but it was all there. And I just have a love for it because I got to sharpen my skills. And by the time I got to WrestleMania and WWE, I felt like, okay, I've come back a complete package. I'm in command of this is how the music goes. I'm in command of who the American Nightmare is, and I can know that and understand it better than a writer or a producer, and thankfully we have all those things. But
now, this line of questioning regarding AEW in the interview began with Chris Van Vliet asking Rhodes why he never says anything negative about his time in AEW. And after some convincing, Rhodes agreed to say something negative and, quote, juicy for the interview. Rhodes noted that he did not like a section of the Young Bucks memoir, Killing the Business, that stated he was the last one to sign with All Elite Wrestling.
Yeah, nothing but love. Nothing. I'm trying to think of something bad to say. Nothing but love. Oh, here's one. Here's one. Okay. I got it back. Okay. Uh-oh. This one's juicy. Wrestle purists, get ready. I hated that in the Young Bucks book, they said I was last to the signing, because that's a big thing. Some of the AEW defenders who don't realize they're turning people off to their product more than they're turning people on. That's one of the things that people always cite. Oh, he was last. He wasn't that big a deal to the origin. No, this guy here who's off camera was the first person to ever meet Tony. And he met him in a vetting process for all of us. So yes, I guess I was the last. And yes, I had different thoughts, and it's not incorrect at all what they said.
That you were physically the last person.
Yeah, like it's not
sign your name.
It's not incorrect, but I was just in on it as well as anybody else, and that's a little thing that when I write my book, I get to tell
What's the book be called?
Oh, what would the book be called? I mean, you could give him an easy one, From Undesirable to Undeniable.
So what do you think of Rhodes' comments there regarding the Young Bucks' comments in their book saying he was the last one to sign with AEW, even though technically he admits that he was? What do you think about his comments regarding how his time ended in AEW too? Let me know your thoughts, your reaction to all of it in the comment section below. Now, Ricochet, he could be set to become All Elite in the very near future, and Tony Khan reportedly is a big fan of the former WWE Intercontinental and United States Champion. In last week's edition of the Wrestling Observer newsletter, Dave Meltzer had reported that Ricochet, whose current WWE contract had expired recently, is expected to debut in AEW shortly. The AEW president recently told comicbook.com that Ricochet is a top-tier athlete and has a lot of respect for his history in New Japan Pro Wrestling as well. He said, quote, "I'm a huge fan of Ricochet. I think he's a great wrestler," Khan said. He's been involved in matches against some of the top stars in AEW. He also has a great history in New Japan Pro Wrestling, and he's been a champion there and a top star. We have a great collaboration there, and I love the history of New Japan, and I think he's a big part of it. During a great era when a lot of our top stars were wrestling there, he was a big part of it. I have a lot of admiration and respect for Ricochet, and I think he's one of the top athletes and one of the most exciting stars in all of wrestling. Oh wow, just phenomenal. Phenomenal matches. Phenomenal one-on-one matches, Khan continued to say. Ricochet was phenomenal in New Japan Pro Wrestling as a single star and as a tag team star. One of his greatest rivals was Will Ospreay, and they had tremendous matches. They have a lot of chemistry and friendship outside the ring too. Will Ospreay was one of Ricochet's biggest rivals before he left to join WWE in 2018. Their matches against each other in the Best of the Super Juniors in 2016 and 2017 were widely praised online as well as in the wrestling community. Ospreay and Ricochet also teamed with Matt Sydal in 2016 against Adam Cole and the Young Bucks for a PWG match that was also highly acclaimed. So what are your thoughts on Khan's comments, and when do you think Ricochet will debut in AEW? Now, the big talking point, certainly coming out of last week's AEW Dynamite, was Mariah May winning the Women's Tournament Final, but also turning on timeless Toni Storm. And for almost a year, the Mariah May-Toni Storm friendship had become one of the most popular long-running stories AEW had produced, until last week when May shockingly betrayed Storm after winning the Owen Hart Foundation Tournament, somehow giving the story even more steam. With May and Storm now scheduled to face off at All In next month, AEW owner Tony Khan has decided it's time to give a behind-the-scenes look into the storyline, revealing that it was in the works long before May even debuted in AEW in October. Speaking with Sports Illustrated, Khan disclosed that the genesis for the May Storm story began during a conversation with a top star in May 2023. Quote, "Bryan Danielson and I were flying home from Double or Nothing, and we were talking about wrestling and what stuck out to us," Khan said. And Bryan asked, "Have you seen Mariah?" I said I had, and that I was amazed how very quickly she'd become one of the top stars in Stardom. We both agreed she was very polished and charismatic. That's when I asked Brian if he'd seen All About Eve and Sunset Boulevard. Shortly after that, Khan spoke with May about his idea, who expressed interest, and then took the idea to Storm, then AEW Women's World Champion and a member of the Outcast stable with Saraya and Ruby Soho. Quote, I went to Toni Storm and suggested these movies because she had that larger-than-life persona like Gloria Swanson in Sunset Boulevard and Betty Davis in All About Eve, Khan said. That is timeless Toni Storm. She's that starlet with that presence backstage, in the ring, out of the ring, one of those rare old Hollywood stars. This is the role Toni was born to play, and she's absolutely incredible at it. After getting everything in order, Khan went back and rewatched Sunset Boulevard for more inspiration, leading him to casting Luther in the role of Storm's butler. He also consulted with AEW personality and film buff RJ City, who Khan credits for being instrumental in the story's success. Quote, my right hand in all of this is RJ, Khan said. He was the only person in the office who's seen All About Eve and Sunset Boulevard, and he understood old Hollywood and the old movies. He's been so valuable and tremendous throughout this process. He has a great aptitude for wrestling, and he was also able to use these movies for inspiration. While Khan is thrilled that the whole thing has turned out so well, he's especially happy with how well May has done in her role, reminding everyone that May had only recently broken out in stardom prior to her joining AEW. He also hyped up May's appearance on tonight's episode of Dynamite, where she will address why she betrayed her mentor for the first time. Quote, I saw something in her, and I asked her to do something very different when she came to AEW, Khan said. There was even some backlash at the beginning when people were pushing back that she came into AEW as this big fan of Toni Storm, which was very different from what she was doing in Stardom. Now, we're going to learn how and why she did all of this, and how she became one of the biggest stars in wrestling in less than a year in AEW. Tonight, she'll speak for the first time since this betrayal. We'll hear what's in Mariah's heart, and I think people are going to be amazed at what they learn. So what are your thoughts on Tony Khan's, planning when it comes to this storyline? Is this something he should do more consistently for more big storylines? Let me know your thoughts about that one too. And finally, there's been this rumor, hasn't there, about a stadium show for AEW in Texas next year. AEW may already have 3 stadium shows scheduled for this year between All In at Wembley Stadium, Grand Slam in Arthur Ashe Stadium, and Wrestle Dream at the Tacoma Dome, but rumors sprouted up the other day that a 4th could be on the docket in 2025, as reports emerged that AEW could run a stadium show in the Dallas/Arlington, Texas area. While no further details emerged, some pondered if AEW could be targeting AT&T Stadium, home of the Dallas Cowboys, especially when it was suggested AEW was looking to run a show that could rival All In. Well, maybe not so fast. Speaking with comicbook.com, AEW owner Tony Khan was asked about the recent reports, and while expressing interest, he seemed to suggest that the earlier reports may not have been entirely accurate. Quote, it's not something that we would be looking to do anytime here in the immediate future, Khan said, but it's an exciting idea and something I think we absolutely could do, and something that would be very interesting. Khan, who's set to begin on a 5-week residency for AEW and Ring of Honor in Arlington this weekend, was less dismissive on the possibility of AEW running a pay-per-view in Texas. He said, quote, I can't comment on the accuracy of such reports or the immediate future, but we've had great shows over the years in Texas, Khan said. We've never done an AEW pay-per-view in Texas. We've done a lot of Ring of Honor pay-per-views there. A lot of AEW's biggest TV episodes have been in Texas, but the one thing we've never brought is an AEW pay-per-view, and Lord knows there's a lot of demand for it. I think that would be a fascinating thing for us to try. But there you go, guys, the latest pro wrestling news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right hand corner. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon. Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.